Hi everyone. I was going through some of my kits, organizing some kits, and I will have a video kind of explaining what I'm doing with that, but I went and I saw a bunch of Close to My Heart. Some of you may know about Close to My Heart, some of you may not, so I thought I would just show you before I start the layouts what it is I'm going to do. So Close to My Heart has what's called Workshops Your Way, and you can see it says Workshops Your Way. Oh, what fun. And I really like their Workshops Your Way. It's kind of like, they're very similar to Scrapbook Generation in a way where they send you, you can purchase, if you purchase the Workshop Your Way, you can purchase all this stuff separately. Although this stuff is old. This was 2018, so this was last year. So I don't know if it's available, but sometimes people can find it. But I just kind of wanted to show you what they're about. And it's, like I said, it's similar to Scrapbook Generation where they send you, if you purchase the Workshop Your Way, all the stuff that goes with it. So like this one came with the paper, some cardstock. I might have purchased some extra cardstock because you can purchase coordinating cardstock. And that's because, you know me, I like to mount my entire layouts on cardstock lately. So that was just a purchase I made separately. But they'll send you the papers and the embellishments. So this one, it came with some... what do you call this? Not foam, felt. That's what, felt embellishments, and then like a packet, and this packet has all 4 of these, and some of them are die cuts, some of them are stickers, some of them are like chipboard. So, and then also in the Workshops Your Way, you get some white cardstock photo placement, like this says place photo here, 4x6. Sorry, I'm trying to get you to see it so there's no glare. And then there's also some smaller, like 3x3. Oh, sorry. Let me let my cat in again. Sorry about that. So, and then what also you get, so you could use this stuff however you wanted. I really like that they have the embellishments now and everything to go with it. But you also get a cutting guide. So it shows you, these are the branding strips. It shows you what you'll need and the length you'll need those. The cards, there's usually 3x4 cards. And then the pattern paper, so it will show you the front and back and the sizes to cut them at. So you can see. And then where it says 3G, so that would be piece 3G, and it would go on the third project or layout. Some of them have cards, so they'll go even further, like 4. I believe is cards. I think you do usually 3 double page 12x12s. So then you go to put them together, and it even shows you like alignment of how to line everything up and your titles. So that's what it will look like when you're done. And then, you know, it shows you how far from the top and everything like that. So it does all that. And then again at the end, so this one includes like a pocket page, so you can use, it shows you how if you have extra photos, you can add a little pocket page. They don't come with the protectors, so you'd have to purchase those separately, or if you have your own. But then it will show the cards that you can make with it, but you would also need the stamp set. But even if you didn't have the stamp set, you could use something in place of the Santa there, even just something that said Merry Christmas. So, and I don't usually make the cards. I might, since this is a Christmas one, and like I said in past videos, I've got plenty of Christmas kits. So, and then it does show you step by step how to make those cards. So, just like it did with the scrapbook pages. And if you cut the papers in the beginning, even the 4A, 6A, these should already all be cut also if you cut those too. If you didn't want to cut them, just don't cut anything that doesn't say 1, 2, or 3. But I thought I would go ahead and do this with you guys. So I'm going to attempt to do this with children home. I don't know if I will sit here and cut all these. First of all, I have children home. Second of all, my trimmer is very loud in the videos, I think. If you would like to see a video where I cut all of this pieces with you and then I can put the pages together separately, let me know and I'd be happy to do that and walk through it with you. But otherwise, let's get started. And I think what I will do is I will just show you before I cut. I will lift this up and show you. And I'm trying to figure out how to add in a little picture-in-picture so it would be like up here on the screen for you guys, but I haven't figured that out. Perhaps I will work on that to see if I can put this up here in the corner while I'm cutting out the papers, but I can't promise that. But I thought that I would show you this and show you how quick and easy. I might ink my edges, so it might take a little bit of time, but if I do, I'll probably just not record that part. So what I'm going to do is cut all of the pieces and then ink all the edges, and we will be ready to put the layouts together. All right. Okay, so I am ready to cut apart the pattern papers now and get my layouts ready. And so I'm going to show you on the screen the cutting guide before each one, but I also decided to add the measurements up in the top corner of each piece that I'm cutting. So right now I'm working on the branding strips. That's the first thing that comes along in the cutting guide. And on all the sizes, it does say like 12 by 1/2 or 10 by 1/2. The 1/2 is the size of the branding strips. So don't worry too much about getting that completely exactly at 1/2. But this one is going to be 4 at 6.5, or excuse me, 6 by 1/2. I was going to say 6.5. That doesn't count up to 4, but I'm going to cut these apart, and I'm going to apologize. This part that is going to take just a little bit longer. I thought about speeding up this part of the video just a little bit more. I know this is a longer video. Again, I don't mind longer videos, so I hope you guys don't mind this either. You can skip forward if you just want to see the finished layouts, but I didn't want to do this part too fast because I wanted you guys to see what part I was cutting, and I wanted you to see the sizes in case you wanted to use this for another collection that you might have. So that's one thing I was thinking. If you guys would be interested in seeing me use this same cutting guide in using up a different collection, let me know. I thought that that might be kind of fun, and I do think I mentioned that in the video later on. Also, I would love to know what you guys think of this video at the end of it, and seeing the layouts come together. I decided not to put the layouts together, or not to do a voiceover for that, because then this video would really be a long video. The layouts don't take very long to go together, but to voice over everything, I just kind of thought maybe I would show you how I cut it apart and how I put the layouts together, because I do alter them just a little bit, but you will see that coming up after I cut down these pieces. So the reason this was also taking forever is because you can probably tell that I'm using a different trimmer. This is my Fiskars rotary blade trimmer, and I love this trimmer. But first of all, you can see I finally switched it around to the right hand side. I'm used to using it this way, and I don't know why I didn't start using it this way, but it's taking a little bit of time getting used to this trimmer again after using the other one. Just the way it slides, and just, you know, being used to the guillotine type trimmer compared to a rotary trimmer is just a little bit different. So I want to say that this part took almost as long as it did to put the layouts together, simply for the fact that I was getting used to this trimmer again. And my room, what you can't see is my room is a literal mess, and so my other trimmer was kind of buried under some other stuff, so that's why I'm using this trimmer. And I love this trimmer. The reason I started using the Tim Holtz one is because I used to have my little scrappy desk, which some of you probably have seen from the video, and the table desktop was a lot smaller, and so this one I don't use as frequently just because the Tim Holtz one is smaller and a little more convenient just to grab. I do, however, absolutely love this trimmer, and I will never get rid of it, and Fiskars is an absolutely wonderful company. So as I'm cutting my papers down, I am putting them in separate piles. So there's piles, you know, I showed you that they're numbered, and like the piece 3G that I showed in the beginning would be for layout number 3. So I'm taking the pieces as I go, and all the number 1s I'm putting in one pile, number 2s 2 pile, 3s 3 piles, or the third pile. And I'm doing that because that way it just makes it so much easier when it's time to go do the layouts. Then they'll all be there, they will all be ready to do. And the card pieces, however, which is 4 and above, I'm just kind of putting in one pile together because they're not that many pieces to those, and those aren't hard to shuffle apart, if that makes any sense. So
The other thing you kind of have to pay attention to is the orientation, which I kind of showed you, I pointed at when I was showing you the cutting guide close up. Like this striped piece of pattern paper, the orientation of the stripes really makes a difference if you are following the guide to do the layouts the way that they are. If you're not worried about that, then you don't have to worry about it either. But yeah, same thing here with these trees. You can see on the right hand side, the trees are sideways, and that's because you will see, I think it's the third layout maybe, that they span across the page. And so if you were to have the trees going the wrong direction, they would be the wrong direction on the page. So I am going to cut down all the papers now, and I'm going to get them all separated into their piles. I do ink all the edges. I believe I'm going to use my gray wool. I think I told somebody in a comment that it was slate, but it is actually gray wool that I use on occasion, but I think that's what I use. I don't show that in the video here. The only thing that I'm not going to do is I am not going to cut down the white cardstock. So up next after cutting this paper is the green cardstock. I'm going to cut all those pieces down. But most of the white cardstock pieces are for photo mats for the third layout, and I decided, since I had not only different sizes of photos but different number of photos, that I was not going to cut down the white pieces, and I would wait and mount my photos when I got there, and that way I could mount them to whatever size it is that I needed. Plus I also have the white photo mats that I showed in the very beginning that come with it. Those are for the first two layouts, but since I'm not going to use them on the first two layouts, I decided to use them, go ahead and use them for the third layout. So I'm just trimming this last green piece of paper up, and the last two pieces call for, I think, 4 inches by 1/4 inches. And here I am trying to see if I can cut this tiny piece and get a nice straight 1/4 inch. And I thought, you know what, that's just crazy. So I'm just going to take this piece of cardstock and cut a 1/4 inch piece and go from there. And that made my life so much easier. I thought it's ridiculous to try to sit there and get a straight one from the other pieces. I mean, it could happen, but anyway, here is where I'm going to start cutting down the white paper and then realize, nope, I'm ready to do the layout. So here's what's next.
Okay, so I have cut down all of my papers now that were in this book. The only one I didn't do was this white cardstock, because I believe these are photo mats for number 3. And I might do my photos just a little bit different. So I started to cut it, but I didn't go any further once I realized those were photo mats. So I have my first double page layout, second double page layout, third double page layout, and I did go ahead and I figured I might as well cut. This is 4, 5, and 6. So I just kind of have these sitting over here in a pile to do the cards at the end. Maybe I can even show you ways that you can make the cards without the stamp set. But I'm going to set these to the side. Let me find a place. I'll just set them right in here, I think. And I'm going to go ahead and ink all my edges now, and then we will get started with the layouts. Okay, everyone. So I have gone ahead and I have put together all the scrapbooking pages. So there was 3 double page spreads and all the cards that go with it. The only thing I didn't do was the pocket page thing, which I'll show you in a minute, and it's basically just because I didn't have the need for it because I had extra photos. So I thought I would talk to you a little bit about these. So this, if you remember, actually I'll turn to the first page of the kit. So this is the first layout, and you can see this one had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 photos, and I only had 4 that I wanted to put on. So I just took, instead of doing 2 smaller photos in a tall 4x6, I just took 2 4x6 horizontal and put them over here on this side. And if you can tell in the layout, I did flip-flop the pages. So, well, sort of, I guess. I guess I kept the banner and stuff. I guess I was thinking I was flipping it all around. Okay, sorry, I'm going to have some stops and starts with this video just because my kids are home. So, I thought that I had flipped both of them around, but I guess after I put it together, or either way, it turned out really good. So there's called for 5 photos, as you can see. And I basically followed most of it other than flipping it around. So here is mine and here is theirs. I'll move it up just a tiny bit so you can kind of see both of them here. Again, I added the 4 photos instead, and I flip-flopped. So these background papers are the same as they are here in this layout. However, instead, you can see I put my cluster of these trees that they have here on the left-hand side instead of the right-hand side. And I put my title, Magical, on the right-hand side instead of the left-hand side like they have here. And there's something sticky on here. It's driving me a little crazy. Trying to keep it together for you. So, and then this cluster that is here on this very left-hand side, I put on the right-hand side. So like I said, other than the background papers, I kind of just flip-flopped it. And I added my own photos. So you are more than welcome to kind of do your own thing. And at the end of all the layouts, there's usually quite a few extra embellishments and stickers. I will show you everything that I have left over still. And the reason I put the photos this way instead of doing them the other way is because in these pictures, they're both facing this direction, and in this picture, he's facing this direction. So when you look at it as a whole double page layout, they're all looking into the layout. Whereas if I had put this photo on this side and these photos on that side, they'd be looking off the layout, and he would also be looking off the layout. So to help your eye go across both of the double pages, it just really helps if your subjects are looking into the layout. For example, if I was to only to scrapbook these 2 photos, I would put this photo of him going this direction on this side, or I would move it over, both of them over, so that he would not be looking off. Even though he's not looking out of the picture, he's looking down at the item. So this one wouldn't be too bad, but if you do have a subject who's looking off of the layout, it kind of throws your eye off and makes your eye go off. But if you have them looking into the layout, then your eye kind of flows a little bit easier. Again, you know, break the rules with scrapbooking, so do whatever makes you happy. But I thought I would also show you a couple things I added was some white splatters. I used to splatter my layouts all the time. I love the way it looks, and I'm not much of a spray inker with stencils, although it's a beautiful look. I really like just splattering. And I've been doing it a little bit more lately. I used to do it on every layout, and sometimes it just gives that added finished touch. So I just used some Mr. Huey's, I think it was. Well, let me look. We can get it out now. So I used, yeah, it's Mr. Huey's opaque white. And I just kind of took off the nozzle thing and just kind of tapped it and splattered around. I chose white because there are a lot of white elements on the page. So I thought the white, plus also the hint of snow maybe. And then to just finish off the layout, I added some little faux stitching with my white pen. And I'm not sure how well you see. I'll show you. You can see it really well there. They're not perfect lines by any means. I don't try to get a perfect line. For this one, I did use my T-square ruler. Sorry if that's loud. That's right by my camera. I did use my T-square ruler, and I just put it up along here, and I went along the T-square ruler part. Sometimes I will use my ruler for that, and sometimes I won't. Just depends on how exact I want it. But I didn't want it to go really wonky all along the pages, so that is why I used the ruler. I didn't measure these 2 pages up. I just kind of eyeballed it, and they look like they line up fairly well. But again, they're going to be in page protectors in an album, so there might possibly be a little bit of, you know, space in between them. So that is this layout, and I love it. I just Googled here. We love our Christmas trees. Decorating them is definitely a favorite thing for us. So beautiful. We have a lot of fun with Christmas trees, as I'm sure a lot of families do. So this is layout number 1, and you could totally follow how they have theirs. It's wonderful. This is something, actually, you know, I just realized this is something that I could actually keep and cut the papers, different papers. I mean, spring, anything, any day, flowery, boy, toys, anything, and still make the same type of layout. So this is something I've never thought about keeping before, but now I might think about that. and maybe make a binder with these in there, because these are pretty nice cutting guides. If you would like to see a video where I do cut some papers, the only thing would be the branding strips. You would either have to have an extra piece of paper to do different branding strips, or border strips would work also, or even washi tape strips, anything like that. But if you would be interested in seeing a video where I use this exact same cutting guide with a different pattern paper or different company, different kit, anything like that, let me know, and I would be more than happy to do the same thing. The embellishments would obviously be a little different, but we could see what we could come up with that, so you could see how versatile things like this is. So, and again, if you do these kits, don't feel like you have to make them exactly the way that they come. They are wonderful if you do make them. They go so fast and easy. I'm sure that I mentioned when I was cutting, I was having a lot of troubles with my paper cutter. Not the paper's cutter fault, it was definitely user error, but if you cut them a little bit quicker than I did, then it does go a little quicker. And I did add a little bit more of an embellishment here because, like I said, at the end there was a lot of embellishments left over. So that is layout number 1. And that one is all done. So here's layout number 2. And this one I really changed up quite a bit because I had so many more photos. Oh, there's something on it. Okay, get it all centered up there for you guys. So turn to page number 2. The other thing you could also do with this is do a 1 page. So if you only had 2 photos and you really liked this, you could just do that 1 page. That is another wonderful thing that you could do with these kits or these directions. So this is their layout, and you can see they put both of their clusters kind of in the center of each page. And if you look at mine, I'll try to put them both in the screen again so you can kind of see the difference. I had a lot of photos, so I knew I kind of wanted to spread them out more. There's called for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 photos. I got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 photos on mine. So very easy to change these up if you have more photos than what they call for. And all I did was, instead of putting my main cluster areas in the center of these, I put them together. So it looks like it's one full pattern paper that spreads the 2. And had I thought about that beforehand, I might not have cut these, but actually having them cut already made it easier. Oh, come on. Darn it. Nothing's staying in place. Let me fix that really quick. So I did change a few things. Like, they have this journal strip right here, and then this box that says most wonderful time of year. I didn't have room for both because of my pictures, so I just put it's the most wonderful time of year here, and I did away with the journal strip. I think I did my journaling here in white. The only thing I don't like is that I thought I was going to do it in black, and so I drew black lines, but really once the white's on there you can't tell too much. But had I known that I was going to not have the black and do my journaling in white, I might have changed that up. And I also added my own white enamel dots. Now, if you don't have your own white enamel dots, anything will work. You could doodle little white circles with your white pen. You could add more splatters if you liked the splatter look. You could, which you can see, I also added the faux stitching with the white pen on both of these green, just because the green, and that's another piece that I moved. I had the green here, which is the same as they did here. However, they had this green stripe here, and I just cut that in half and put it on both sides, because if I just put it on this side, it looked a little off. So, and then instead of having this tree right above here with this green pattern paper, I just moved the tree up by this sticker, and that is pretty much it. This is just funny. We were just hanging out on Christmas, and it was my mom's idea to shoot paper cups off of off of each other's heads. So luckily nobody was hurt, and they were smart enough to cover their eyes. So just kind of funny, but I was glad to. I thought at holiday cheer that kind of went with it, you know. Those were good photos. I just thought they were fun to get on a page. So I really like how this one turned out. It's journaled, it's dated, and it's on there. And yeah, for the most part, other than the enamel dots, I followed a lot of what they did. So I just simply changed a few things to make it my own. And adding the little white stitching really adds something to this page. It just kind of finishes it off. So I really like that. Now this one, this is the third one. This this one, I have things about it that I like and things about it that I'm not that crazy about, but it's not because of their kit, it's because of mine. So here's what they had, and they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 photos and a journaling box, and I only had 4 photos. Originally, this was a 5 by 7. Sorry, I'm just trying to get it straight. Maybe I'll put this down here again and hold on to it a little better. So this is their version. You can kind of see at the bottom here. I'll move it up just a little bit more. So this is their version, and you can see I've followed it mostly, except for this was the 5 by 7. I didn't want it that large on the page, so I just cut the 5 by 7 down to a 4 by 6, and she still stands out a lot in this photo. And so instead of 3 along here, I just moved the journaling box over 1, and instead of a 3 by 4 photo here, I moved it to a 5 by 7, but this cluster is just about the same. I did accidentally glue the wrong star on this side, but no big deal. I mean, nobody's gonna know. Then in this cluster, I did go ahead and add this felt piece shape because I only had 2 left, and I thought I might as well get them up. The other one I didn't use because honestly I didn't really care for it. And then this cluster over here, the only thing I did different was I added these Queen & Company, like I don't know the name, but they're embellishments by Queen & Company instead of the little tied ribbons that are on the layout or their layout. And I just kind of added those around. I also added a couple hearts that are by Doodlebug. They're little enamel hearts. I added a few of those around. And then instead of putting the title Wonderful to this side of the page, I moved it so it was more in the middle, and then the bird on this side with the little embellishment and the heart cluster kind of make it look like it's one continuous cluster, even though it's on 2 different separate pages. So for the most part, I love it. I'm not too crazy about the way these embellishments looked, but when I put them down, they weren't going to come up very easy, so I just left them. And it's a fun, title. My daughter was just having fun, and she was posing and wanted to pose all these different ways for these pictures, so it was just fun. She looked really pretty that day, but she's very photogenic, and thank you to all of you who leave wonderful comments about her and how pretty she is. She is very gorgeous. She has no idea how pretty she is, so which is probably what makes her even more pretty. So I just kind of Googled how she enjoyed the pictures. I really wanted to use the bird. I also added a bird to this side just because I love birds, so I thought I want to get those on a layout. So yeah, so it's not too far off of theirs. This cluster is down a little further because I didn't have the photo that was here. I kind of wanted to bring this down just a little bit. But other than that, really, I have the bow, I have the twine going across both pages, and I love the colors in this. I'm so happy with how it turned out. So it's mostly the same. So if you have a kit or a sketch you're going by, feel free. And again, I am going to do my sketch series. I just have not had the time to sit down and find out. I want to find a couple sketches that I can show you, so I want one from Scrapbook Generation and page maps I can show you, but I just want to find a few different ones so I can really talk about each one and how you can alter them. And then I want to do like maybe 1 or 2 layouts with each. So it'll be a little bit more, it's going to take me a little time to get that done. But so this is layout number 3. And all 3 of those are done. It did take me a while, mostly because of the cutting and because I ink my edges. If you don't ink your edges and you use a cutter that you know you're going to use, then it goes a lot faster. Here's the part that I didn't use. This is their pocket page, Pocket Plus it looks like it's called. So it's the divided page protector. If you have more photos, they do show you how you can put this page protector. And because of the placement on of the photos on the main layout, the page protector looks like it goes with it no matter how you do it. But like I said, I didn't have extra photos, so I didn't need to do that part. So it looks like they just kind of put some pocket pages and added a little bit to each one anyway. So that one I didn't end up doing. So now the cards. Here are their 3 cards. And I was mentioning that I would show you how to do it without the stamp set. So I'm sure that a lot of you have stamp sets already. You can get them anywhere. I prefer to buy stamp sets more from known companies that their quality is better, Technique Tuesday, Close to My Heart, Stampin' Up, things like that. I don't often buy cheap stamps because I found that they're the ones that don't stamp very clear and they don't last. So I did go through all my stamps last year, and I think I have a small video about purging my stamps. But I just found that it was the ones that I was getting rid of that were the cheap ones. So I'm really picky about my stamps anymore, and I hardly ever buy stamps. So it's got to be one that I really, really, really love before I will purchase that stamp set. And looking at this one, I really love this stamp set, but I know I have Santas, and I know I have ornament stamps, and I know I have border stamps. So I didn't feel like there was anything with this stamp set that blew me away that I needed it. But I still wanted to make the cards to show you guys. So what I did was I made the cards using different items. So in case you don't want to purchase the stamp set. So what I did was I went ahead, and here's 2 of the number 1 right here. And this was an embellishment from, oh, I had it laying here. From this, you can see how many embellishments I still have left over just on this one sheet. There's not as many of the different stickers as there are of these chipboard pieces, but this tree came from right here. So I cut that out and I glued it on here, and then I tied a little bow just like they had. I only moved it closer to the tree is all. And then all I did was I stamped Merry Christmas, because most of us, if you don't have a stamp set that says what you want, print it up on a piece of cardstock and cut it out. Chances are nobody's going to keep that, so you don't need to worry about how long that card will last. But I just stamped out a phrase, Merry Christmas, just kind of like they had on here. Added the tree and the bow, and then just to bring the black down, I did again another faux stitching line with some black ink. However, I didn't use the ruler on that one. You can see it's a little wonky, but I don't care. It looks fun and festive, like this whole card should look. And then I just added some enamel. No, these are Nouveau drops, and I believe I used Silver Moon Dust. They're the glitter ones. And then for this one, since I only had one of these, all I did was I took a scrap piece of this green cardstock. There was the same kind of green cardstock that's on here. And I traced this shape where the tree was, if you can see that there. And then I cut it out. So it doesn't look as good, I think, as the first one, but it still looks cute. And instead of just trying a bow, I wrapped the twine around the card, and then again I added some of the same Nouveau drops, but I added some on the tree this time too. And here you will see I stamped the Merry Christmas, and I stamped them both together, but this one smeared. So all I did was I took a piece of cardstock, stamped it again, and cut it out and put it on the card, and it looks like I did it intentionally. I inked the edges and everything so it would look like I did it intentionally. So there are 2 ways. Instead of using the stamps like they have here, you can use some of your leftover embellishments, or use some of the empty space to cut out your own embellishments from your scraps. So there's 2 different ideas. So that's card 1. This is card 2. And what I did here was, I was looking at my Nouveau drops. That one didn't look dry. Again, kind of the same thing. I did the card. I'll put them down here for you. Did the card pretty much how they had, the green and this border strip. That wasn't a border strip. It was a branding strip is what I'm trying to say. And then the stripe strip, but I didn't have any of these stamps to go with it. Okay, sorry about that. So for card number 2, what I did was, instead of having the stamps, I just used some die cuts. So I went through my metal dies and found anything that I thought might work, and ran across these snowflakes, which I'm pretty sure I've probably never used before. And I used the snowflakes in place. And then I just added some Nouveau drops around, and I will see, I used White Blizzard glitter drops and just sprinkled them around, definitely in the center of the snowflakes, and just kind of made them so they kind of went down by my stamped sentiment and then up to the other snowflake also. Same thing with this one. They went both in that same direction. And then that was pretty much the card for that. I did ink the edges again of all my cards also, and that kind of helps them pop a little bit. So that is another thing you can use if you don't have the coordinating stamps, is you can use any kind of metal die, or if you have a cutting machine, you can use dies from a cutting machine. So this last one, I wasn't sure how crazy I was about it yesterday when I did these, but today I actually really like how they turned out. So theirs has a Santa holding the Believe sign. Oh, and the only thing I think I'll do, let's do it really quick together that I meant to do here. So if you look really closely on their card, that green stripe, they stamped that doodle border that's there. They stamped that on the green card. And I was thinking, you know, you don't even need the green card, or I mean the stamp. Oops, I'm gonna turn this off. Let me zoom in so you can kind of see. And I'm gonna do this on camera, so let's hope it doesn't turn out wonky. I'm just gonna kind of make my own little swirly border, because how easy is that? Oh, and that enamel dot's kind of in the way. Not enamel dot, but that's what I call those. There. And so now I have my own swirly border. And it looks, I mean, it's obviously not the same as theirs, but it's fairly close. And so here, I'll do it one more time. And all you have to do, I'm sure you guys could do this easily, just swirl. I'm trying to look at the camera and at the same time so you can even see if you can even see what I'm doing. I don't like that swirl as much as I like the other one, but that's okay. It's done, and it's cute, and nobody's going to care. So instead of the Santa Claus stamped out and cut out, what I used was just a tag die. So tags are super easy to make. You can just do a rectangle and then cut the corners off, and that's really easy. So that's an easy way to do it. I used that same sentiment, and then I looked in my stamps and I saw these trees, and this is not one stamp. These are 3 different trees, but this is how I had them in my stamp sets, and I have no idea who. I want to say maybe they're a Technique Tuesday stamp, but I'm not exactly sure. They're years and years and years old. But I liked how they were in with my stamps, so I just put them all in the same stamp block, and I stamped these in my gray wool that I inked all the edges with. I did ink all my edges with the gray wool, by the way, and not black ink, just because of the colors. I thought the subtlety of the gray would look a little better. So my original thought was, since they had the twine going around the card on this card, and I'll move that over, I was going to do that, but I was going to add twine into the tag. And so then I was like, well, I'm not sure if I would like it in both places. So I decided I would just do it in the tag. But then the holes in the tag were bigger, and I wasn't sure how I was liking that. So then I remembered I had purchased this Fisker's bow punch, and it just makes these adorable little bows. And there is some dimension. It might get flattened in the mail, but if you use cardstock, it's actually pretty. I mean, I'm not pushing super hard, but definitely, you know, it takes a little bit of pushing on. So hopefully they won't be, you could always add a foam, you know, piece of foam tape in there if you wanted to. It's kind of moving around. I might have to glue it down a little bit better. So I added the bow there, and then I still didn't really care for it. It just seemed like something was off. But then I added, again, the same Nuvo Silver Moon Dust Drops, just kind of in a zigzag line along that green line, and it really just kind of helped. I don't know, it kind of drew, I think it matched the gray that's on the tag, and so it really kind of finished the card off for me. And then when I was doing this one, I realized, hey, I could punch the center part out of a pattern paper, and I actually really like the way this bow turned out even more. So that is how I did those 2 cards. And again, you know, if you don't have a die, you can just cut a rectangle, cut the corners off. You could do anything for a bow, any ribbon, anything, you know, even if you cut paper, there's all kinds of bow dies and punches and everything. Or you could do twine out of the center. You know, there is twine on this one that I didn't add. So, lots of different things you can use. And so that's how I did those cards. And now I did everything that they had in there other than the pocket page. And I still have all of this left over, which you guys know I am now going to cut down when I'm done with this video and put it in for my pocket, my daily life videos. So here's all the scraps. This I purchased separately, so you wouldn't have this much cardstock left over, but I will save this for other kits that will use the same colors. And I might, you know, post-it note the colors because the colors can be found on this somewhere. So I'm going to set those to the side, but look at everything I have left over. I have one full sheet of paper, which is just the die cut cards, but these are going to be perfect for daily life. If you don't do daily life, these would be perfect for cards. Trim that down, put Happy Christmas or holidays underneath there, add a little bow, there's your card. It's anything like that. I mean, this would make a great background for a card. Any of this would do perfect on a card, but I have all these scraps left over. Some of these scraps, you could even do another layout with these if you wanted to. I have all the photo placements. I will keep these because these are great for matting your photos on white cardstock. They're already to the size. I mean, if you have a 3x3 photo, you'll have to cut it down just a hair to fit on this to see any of the white, but I will definitely keep those to the side. But I have all this twine left over. That's awesome. Some of these branding strip pieces left over. And then I also have, where did the green one go? I have a bunch of these chipboard pieces left over. And here's even a chipboard piece. Okay, so there's the chipboard pieces that are left over, quite a few of those. Here's the sticker sheet. Again, those were easier to use, so I used those up. And there's a few left on there. So all of this is still left over. You could make a page like you could do like I'm gonna do and do a daily life spread. There are lots of things. You could make a whole bunch more cards with this. So that is basically a Workshop Your Way with Close to My Heart. If you would like to see another one of these, I have plenty of Workshops Your Way that I've actually they're on my to-do list to get done. If you want to see me maybe do the same cuts, although I might not do the cards, if you'd like to see me do this with another collection, leave me a comment below and I'm more than happy to give that a try one of these days, just to see what the difference is. I wouldn't have the same stickers, but that would be the challenge, to use something different, but at least have the cut, you know, the papers and background. So let me know if you like this video, if you'd like to see more, and I will talk to you guys next time. Thank you so much. Bye.